Hello and welcome to The One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones. Now, tonight sees the start of the much-anticipated new BBC drama Our Zoo, based on the family who created and lived at Chester Zoo in the 1930s, including June. Well, now June is all grown up, and we're going to be chatting to her about what it's like to have a lion cub for a best friend. It's lovely to have you with us, June, tonight. Thanks for popping in.
And George as well. But first...
And animals, zoos galore, because the children of George Mottershead, the creator of Chester Zoo, had a childhood that most could only dream of. Look at these photos.
Oh, they're lovely. Now, his daughter June is about to relive it all because her family story is told in the brand new drama Our Zoo. And ahead of tonight's first episode, June went back to Chester to share some of her favourite memories.
I always thought I had a normal childhood, but people did think we were eccentric. My parents were Lizzie and George Mottershead, and my big sister was Muriel. But my family also included chimpanzees, lion cubs, and elephants. I grew up in Chester Zoo. When my father was very small, he went to a zoo and the cages were all small, and he thought to himself, one day I'll have a zoo and give the animals room to roam. My father had been very badly wounded in the First World War, and that's when his parents loaned him some money. And in December 1930, when I was 4, we moved into this house. The first animals we got were the 2 bears that had been given to my father because they'd outgrown their enclosure. We put them in stables to begin with, and the local villagers objected. They were frightened of the animals getting out. And the cotton merchants and tea merchants and everybody from Liverpool who had large houses and estates, they thought it would let down the tone of the place. After 6 months, we got official permission to open the zoo. The visitors started to trickle in, but the financial situation was chronic. But in 1934, Dad managed to turn the zoo into a charity, and that saved the zoo from closing down. My dad started to court people to bring money in, and that caused a bit of a rift with my mum because she was doing the work and he was doing the socialising. Yeah, Mum. During the war, people were frightened of zoos being bombed and the animals escaping. So a lot of animals had to be evacuated from down south. We got 2 elephants in 1940. Father made me walk through Chester in front of them so that we got as much publicity as we could for the zoo. People thought it was a strange life, but to me it was absolutely normal. I was brought up with Mary the chimpanzee, and it was wonderful. If you taught her to put mortar on a brick, she could do that. Christy was a lion cub, and we became very, very close. She loved coming up behind you and jumping on you. And of course, she was so heavy, you just sank to the ground, your knees gave way. And if she put her teeth on you, her open mouth, never closed them. She was exceptionally good-tempered. And then the time came when my father swapped Christy, the lion cub, for a polar bear. And that's when I stopped really being too fond of animals, because you're heartbroken and you've got no say in the matter. I felt I'd let her down. I am amazed that the zoo is so large these days, but it's what we as a family dreamed of. a zoo without bars, and I'm sure they'd be very pleased.
And June is here, along with her son, George. So we heard, obviously, the sad story about you saying goodbye to Christy there, the cub, but the polar bear, then, that replaced her. There was a happy story to that one, though, June.
Well, yes, Christy was swapped, and we got a male polar bear,
Yeah.
and we had 2 females. And the lucky thing was that one of them became pregnant and had a live polar bear cub, and it grew up.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
So a real happy feeling within the zoo, even for the animals, obviously, to be breeding like that.
It's quite something to breed
Yeah.
polar bears. It was in those days. Nowadays, it's...
And we saw in the film you had all sorts of animals. We saw the chimpanzees were quite handy, weren't they, with the old cement and bricks there?
Of course, we bought them.
Incredible. I couldn't believe that.
But you and your husband built the aquarium, which still stands at Chester Zoo today, didn't you, June?
Yes. The old aquarium was in the basement of the oak field, and it flooded regularly, and the electrics were rather dicey, to be quite honest. And the tanks all leaked because it had been closed during the war. And so we said to the society, could we have a new aquarium if we build it in our own time? So we built it in our own time after work.
Wonderful, June.
And also we had landing lamps, you know, for the aircraft.
So you could
So we could work at night.
At night time?
Yes.
And it's still there.
Yeah.
So good foundations. Good foundations.
But it's old-fashioned a bit now.
Oh, well, it still works, though.
Well, obviously, the reason we're talking about this is because of the big new drama that's on BBC tonight. Now, you must have learnt so much about your family history from this.
Haven't we? We first, well, we'd been trying to tell the story of the family for years, and we weren't doing such a good job. And then, fortunately, a producer from the BBC thought it might make a great drama. That was 4 years ago. And here, 4 years later, everybody's going to learn about the family.
Excellent. And it's a gorgeous little girl called Honor who plays you, June, isn't it?
She's wonderful. She's
lovely.
Fantastic.
Well, let's see her in action. Here she is.
I can hear the echo around Britain now. Oh, we'll have to watch this. We'll have to watch this.
It looks good, June, doesn't it?
It looks lovely, and she goes, she's going to be a star.
Yeah, I think so.
It must have been interesting, though, for you to see, and obviously see on the television, your family there in front of you.
It was wonderful that the whole family were on in the series, because my grandparents worked hard, my parents worked hard, and my sister worked hard, and they didn't always get the credit they deserved, I don't think.
Yeah.
And everybody will see it now, won't they?
I hope so.
And Jamie's got some experience, because very quickly he used to live next door to a zoo, didn't he?
Well, sort of near to one. And my best mate Jimmy, you've probably seen
Who we know,
on the
yeah.
Beeb or Channel 4. You know, he had a farm. He had a zoo pretty much in his house. I used to go back
Like a
some days. There'd
menagerie.
be like 350 animals there, Cub Scouts, brownies leaving, and he worked in the local one as well. But you know, it's really interesting.
Well, you love this. It's on tonight, isn't it?
Yes, thank you both for coming along to
thank
talk
you.
to us. And Our Zoo starts tonight, 9 o'clock on BBC One.